Harper Audio presents The Ritual Bath, a Peter Decker Rina Lazarus novel by Faye Kellerman, performed by Mitch Greenberg. Copyright 1986 by Faye Kellerman. Production copyright 2007 by HarperCollins Publishers. One. The key to a good potato kugel is good potatoes, Sarah Libba shouted over the noise of the blow-dryer. The key to a great potato kugel is the amount of oil. You have to use just enough oil to make the batter moist, plus a little excess to leak out around the cake pan and fry the edges to make the whole thing nice and crisp without being too greasy. Rina nodded and folded a towel. If anyone would know how to cook a potato kugel, it was Sarah Libba. The woman could roast a shoe and turn it into a delicacy. But tonight Rina was too fatigued to listen with a full ear. It was already close to 10 o'clock, and she still had to clean the mikvah, then grade 30 papers. It had been a busy evening because of the bride. A lot of to-do, hand-holding, and explaining. The young girl had been very nervous, but who wouldn't be about marriage? Rivki was barely 17, with little knowledge of the world around her. Sheltered and exquisitely shy, she'd gotten engaged to Baruch after 3 dates. But Rina thought it was a good match. Baruch was a good student, and kind, and very patient. He'd never once lost his temper while teaching Shmuel how to ride a two-wheeler. He'd be calm yet encouraging, Rina decided, and it wouldn't be long before Rivki knew the ropes just like the rest of them. Sarah shut off the dryer, and the motor belched a final wheeze. Fluffing up her close-cropped hair, she sighed and placed a wig atop her head. The nylon tresses were ebony and long, falling past Sarah Libba's slender shoulders. She was a pretty woman, with wide brown eyes that lit up a round, friendly face. And short, not more than 5 feet, with a slim figure that belied the fact that she'd borne 4 children. Meticulous in dress and habit, she worked methodically, combing and styling the artificial black strands. "Here," Rina said, "let me help you with the back." Sarah smiled. "Know what inspired me to buy this shaitel?" Rina shook her head. "Your hair, Rina," said Sarah. "It's getting so long." "I know. Chana's already mentioned it to me." "Are you going to cut it?" "Probably." "Not too short, I hope." Rina shrugged. Her hair was one of her best features. Her mother had raised a commotion when she'd announced her plans to cover it after marriage. Of all the religious obligations that Rina had decided to take on, the covering of her hair was the one that displeased her mother the most. But she forged ahead over her mother's protests, clipped her hair short, and hid it under a wig or scarf. Now, of course, the point was moot. Working quickly and with self-assurance, Rina turned the wig into a fashionable style. Sarah Libba craned her neck to see the back in the mirror, then smiled. "It's lovely," she said, patting Rina's hand. "I've got a lot to work with," said Rina. "It's a good shaitel." "It should be," Sarah said. "It cost nearly $300, and that's for only 20% human hair." "You'd never know." The other woman frowned. "Don't cut your hair short, Rina, despite what Chana tells you. She has a load of advice for everyone but herself. We had the family over for Shabbos, and her kids were monsters. They broke Chaim's transformer, and do you think she offered a word of apology?" "Nothing, huh?" "Nothing. The boys are wilde chayas, and the girls aren't much better. For someone who runs everyone else's life, she sure doesn't do too well with her own." Rina said nothing. She wasn't much of a gossip, not only because of the strict prohibitions against it, but because she found it personally distasteful. She preferred to keep her opinions to herself. Sarah didn't prolong the one-way conversation. She stood up, walked over to the full-length mirror, and preened. "This time alone is my only respite," she said. "It makes me feel human again." Rina nodded sympathetically. "The kids will probably all be up when I get home," the tiny woman sighed. "And Svi is learning late tonight. I think I'll walk home very slowly, enjoy the fresh air." "That's a good idea," Rina said.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?